Hello, everybody. We're out here with my friend Yarno tonight, and just to get his insight on religion and different people's beliefs. So, how are you doing tonight, Mr. Yarno?
Um, Fine at the moment for now.
Okay. So, what is your belief when it comes to religion, or question is what do you follow, or how do you feel upon that?
I'm not religious, but I mean, obviously that uh, a lot of people need. It's a to me, everything is God's creation. It just channels and manifests through us, positive and negative and indifferent, good and bad and indifferent. These are all learning experiences. Religion is not right for everyone. It's definitely not right for me, but I feel I would feel pretty arrogant to just be so demanding or no religion. That's like people like me don't like it when people try to force us to demand us to be religious or believe what they believe in. So I'm not anti-religious as so much as religion is not for me, and it's definitely not for everybody. But it has its place and it has its time. But I'm more into a freeform guideline spirituality, individualistic freeform guideline spirituality, openness and broadness.
So, to just to clarify for the viewers, do so you do believe in a higher power,
Absolutely, yeah.
or how do you? What's your perception on that?
I call it the great I call it many things. It's the same thing, whatever you call it, the great mystery, the great spirit, the creator, life force, creation force, the divinity, the source, the force, the one, nature, magic, the universe, God. It's the same thing. It's just like we all come from different schools of thought. And so much of what we believe or call is really just semantics, just different labels we perceive to be different. Like what indigenous people see as spirit smoke, spiritualists who are mystical Christians who are very scientific in their way, metaphysical science. To them, spirit smoke is called ectoplasm. Ectoplasm was not invented by the Ghostbusters. That goes back a few centuries with the spiritualist movement. But really, like, whose label is truer? Whose label is greater? It's all just cultural constructs and perceptions. Is spirit smoke really less true than calling it ectoplasm, or is just perception?
And
It's the same thing.
okay. And how long has it been since you first, became knowledgeable about this, or has this been since you were a young child?
All my life, but in different ways and degrees, of course. Not. I've always been into this sort of thing since birth.
Was this through family, or is this found on your own?
Both my mom and myself.
Oh, okay. So this is something
My
that.
mom started getting into metaphysics shortly before I was born, and she grew really fast. My dad was the complete opposite. He was a skeptic. He believed in God, but he didn't like to think or talk about God. He pretty much believed in only what the five senses could prove in science. Even though he believed in God, didn't like to think or talk about God. And to him, whether you were a metaphysical or mystical or magical person or a fundamentalist Christian, it was all the same to him, just all crackpots. So I grew up with two extremities, opposites between my parents and their belief systems, their ways.
So how do you feel about when someone, for example, somebody says they're Muslim, somebody says they're Catholic, somebody says they're Christian, and the list goes on, Mormon and everything. Do you look at them with fall? Do you look at them like just let them be, or how do you feel about that?
Let them be. I know I want to be let be, so should let them be.
So whatever they practice.
As long as they don't impose it upon anybody else.
And is there a certain I don't know what you will call it? Do you go to a certain church? Like how
I go to a spiritualist church.
is this?
First United Spiritualist Church of Gardena. It's been there for generations. They're mystical Christians, metaphysical Christians. There's some. I just go there. There's certain aspects and parts of the church I'm in alignment with, but not completely. Just parts.
And so, is this practice every Sunday like everybody else does, or is there a different day that you guys
I
go?
go every Sunday, pretty much every Sunday.
So the doors are open Sunday, like just like the average church.
Yeah, from 11 to noon.
Oh, okay. And I remember you say you have a native side to you too, right?
That's the main part, not exclusively, but the main part.
And how is that? How is that different from the spiritualist church?
The spiritualist church isn't mainly focused on native spirituality. That's just a part of it. In part, mainly because of Paul Triggs, who was a White Mountain Apache, and his mother, Inez Triggs. Inez first went to spiritualist church maybe in the 60s. Let's see, first, Inez was originally a Pentecostal, and she went through a time of questioning, and then a time of awakening. She went to that spiritualist church a long time ago, and she got really into that. Her son Paul, at an early age, because of his parents, was an agnostic, he was a native, but he was agnostic, whose faith was in science. Wow. And his mom kept bugging him to go to this church and give it a try. So he goes there, and very quickly he gets really into it and really interested in it. And it's because of spiritualism, metaphysical, mystical Christianity, he was finally able to immerse himself into traditional Apache medicine and integrated with mystical, metaphysical Christianity.
Wow. And you say there at that church that they read out of the King James Bible?
They didn't used to. They do now. Right now, that's the only thing they read out of. But they didn't used. They have a library with all kinds of books of different belief systems, and people used to read from all kinds of different beliefs and books. But now it's just the King James Bible.
And why do you think they're doing that now?
I think that's what the head ministers of now want.
Oh, okay. So they're kind of like...
Two of our ministers passed away. Oh. And the one who's... our head minister, he's the longest living. He's been there the longest. He has the highest senior. He's a great guy. I love him. He's a great guy, and his wife. But he's no longer head minister because, he's done his time. He's paid his dues. He can't handle it as much. So now he has the highest seniority, but he stepped down to co-pastor. And the co-pastor stepped up to head minister. But it's still, I don't know, it's just they only read from the King James Bible. But the church didn't used to be that way. It used to be much more open.
So you think now they're converting to straight Christianity?
No, they're still metaphysical, mystical Christians. They're just not, I don't know.
Do you see it heading that way, though, by the way that it's going, the way now they're...
I think eventually we'll have to break open, otherwise the church won't last.
Oh, okay. And the reading from the King James, was that something that was voted upon, or just
no, it's
the elders?
The decision of the two leaders.
The two leaders. Oh, okay.
Two of them passed away a few years back.
So now the new people taking over, they're the ones...
They're not taking over. They were there. Like I said, one of them has been there the longest.
They just stepped, their rank kind of stepped...
He stepped down, but he still has the highest seniority.
Oh, okay, I got you.
He still has the highest power because he's been there the longest.
Oh, okay.
And then the minister who's head minister now hasn't been there as long as the other three. But two of them, he's a great guy. I love him. He's a good nice wife. They're great people. But, most of the time during the sermon, I don't even pay attention unless it grabs to me and I feel I can really connect with it. Most of the time I'm just continue sitting and we do our meditation before the service. Most of the time I'm just still in meditation during the entire service. For me, the real church is when church is over, we all go out to lunch and talk, and that's the real church service. Or we always sing happy birthday to people both living and in the spirit world, to whoever requests every Sunday. I love that part. And then, of course, we have healing services and readings after the service. You can either give or get if you're a healer, if you can get a healing from somebody or you get a reading from somebody. But I'm not as much into that. I just sort of go out on the patio and play my drum and wait till we go out to lunch if we go to lunch. And that's the service for me.
So would you recommend for people to go?
If it's your kind of thing, if you're more on the metaphysical, mystical side, but you want to stay within the confines of the King James Bible, then by all means go.
So you say you play your drum, huh?
Yeah, I'll play out in the patio by myself.
Okay. Is there? Could you show us a little bit of your?
Sure. One thing I want to say, I learned. So this is the realization I had as a very small child. To me, everywhere you go is church. All life and creation and existence is church. If you're at the coffee shop, you're at church. You're at the beach, you're at church. You're at the beach, a concert, it's all church. It's all God, and it's all learning, it's all meditation in some form or another.
Oh, right.
And I've always believed you will learn more about God outside of church than you will in any church. Because anytime you get into a church type situation, it always comes completely rigid and narrow and confined. And if you don't fit into what they believe or say is absolutely true, you're out. You're considered wrong and bad, and you're out. And it's always about people in agreement. You look at the whole world holistically, you'll find a wide range of groups of people who completely disagree on everything, but they're always the ones who are absolutely right and everybody else is absolutely wrong. And they always claim that their truth is absolute truth and the highest truth. Right. And they make assumptions about people and life and situations and things based on dogma, and they don't see beyond that. So at what point are you really a truth seeker?
Right.
Truth isn't something that just stays still or stays the same, or something that people can agree upon when it changes or how it changes, if it changes. It's very multi-layered, multifaceted, and complex. To me, truth is only partial, temporary, theoretical, and always changing. And for every temporary, partial, theoretical truth, there is an equally opposing partial, temporary, theoretical truth. And in between those is another greater partial, temporary, theoretical truth. And opposed to that is another. It just keeps going until it becomes something that I don't think we can even, truths, the higher, greater truths we can't even begin to comprehend with our present evolution of human minds at this point, at this state of our human evolution.
So there's more church out of church than in church.
Yeah, that's that you'll find a wider range of ideas